It's another restless night. I can't stop dreaming of you. Always got me in a spin. Yeah, you never make me blue. Thinking about the way you walk, to the way you call my name. Another restless night, any other one to blame. It always makes me sad to say goodbye at the end of the night. But you'll be on my mind way past the morning light. That's alright, another restless night. Just dreaming about those things you do. Another restless night, another caused by you. It always makes me sad to say goodbye at the end of the night. But you'll be on my mind way past the morning light. That's alright, another restless night. Just dreaming about those things you do. Oh, another restless night, another caused by you. You're the only one to ever make me feel this right. I wanna wrap my arms around you. Oh, baby, you know just what I like. Another restless night, just dreaming about those things you do. Another restless night, another caused by you. Another restless night, another caused by you.
The espresso and 2 mugs was Matt Main. So thank you for participating in our silent auction. So here we are. What a crowd we have here tonight. Thank you so much for coming and all your support. Tonight's the 35th annual induction banquet for the National Mining Hall of Fame. And I want to thank you, and to those joining us via a live feed. We also have a streaming going on at the same time. We're pleased you could join us on this occasion as we induct 5 new members into the National Mining Hall of Fame and present the Prazen Living Legend of Mining Award. The National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum is our country's monument to the men and women who champion exploration and extraction of the world's natural resources. The museum is 25,000 square feet of exhibit space that takes visitors on an evolving journey of the mining industry, from historical walkthrough replicas through the progression of modern mining practices. From an extraordinary gem and mineral collection to interactive exhibits about the role that minerals play in our lives. And finally, on the top floor, where the stories of people who have shaped the industry are showcased. Did you know that the museum has been named a TripAdvisor's top traveler's choice for the last 3 years? I mean, that's pretty amazing. So what that means is we're in the top 10% of destinations worldwide, right? So we get a lot of great comments of all of our visitors, and it really goes to say, to the staff and the museum and how it's operated. So it's an amazing feat, even though it's located in Leadville, right? So great. I'd like to share a little bit more about our organization. It's a nonprofit that operates in the background to manage the museum, the Matchless Mine Historical Site, and orchestrates this special induction banquet. This year, Executive Director Elizabeth Denschel joined us from the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library and Museum. We are blessed to find such a well-qualified museum professional and an inspiration. So, Elizabeth, thank you. She manages the day-to-day business along with 4 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees and countless volunteers. Elizabeth, along with our diversified board of directors, we have set out on a path to modernize the organization by updating the bylaws, creating educational outreach focus, integrating modern mining into the stories we tell, and recognizing women and underrepresented mining professionals. All of this is part of a new strategy, a new strategic plan to make the organization more relevant to the public and to the mining industry while providing financial sustainability. We've also had a distinguished board of governors led by Barb Filas. These governors receive all of the candidate nomination proposals and make the decision each year on who gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. So thanks, Barb. No event like this is possible without the generous support of corporate sponsors. Thank you to our signature sponsors, Franco-Nevada, Newmont Mining, our cocktail sponsor, McGriff, our longtime award sponsor, Original Creations, Hecla Mining for PR support, and all the table sponsors. So thank you, sponsors. Just as this event is not possible without corporate sponsorship, the operations of the museum needs support of individuals such as yourselves. As you listen to the stories tonight, I hope you will be compelled to contribute to the organization that inspires our young people, recognizes our industry's most influential leaders, and provides a platform to discover mining and minerals in our lives, one visitor at a time. All right, so now I'd like to introduce our MC, Dr. Steve Enders. Steve has an impressive employment history in our industry. His highlights include President of Phelps Dodge Exploration, Senior Vice President of Worldwide Exploration for Newmont Mining, Chairman, Director, and COO of EMX Royalty Corporation, co-founder of Kuprick Canyon Capital, LLC, and active board member for Copper Mountain Mining Corp. and Brooks & Nelson, LLC. He also has an admirable academic background since joining the Colorado School of Mines in 2009. And currently he serves as Department Head of Mining Engineering. He is a Mines Distinguished Achievement Medalist and is on the Board of Governors for the CSM Foundation. And finally, most importantly, he's a Colorado School of Mines alum and a University of Arizona alum. So please welcome Steve to the podium. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate your kind remarks and your introduction. Who would ever have thought 30 years ago when we worked together at Morenci that we'd be standing up here tonight doing this? I mean, it's so awesome how our lives are intertwined. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, Dave. Okay, so what makes this evening so special for me personally is that I know most of the inductees very well. That's good and bad because we could tell stories on each other. And indeed, I tell you, I'm honored to be the master of ceremonies here tonight. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the National Mining Hall of Fame 35th Gala and Induction Ceremony. Okay? There's more. This is like the Academy Awards for mining, right? Come on. But just a heads up, just for those of you who know me, I am not going to be putting on a top hat. I'm not going to be singing a song, and I'm not going to be doing a dance, because those of you who know me know that I have no rhythm and I have 2 left feet. And it's illegal for me to sing in 17 states. So, but wouldn't it be outstanding, right? Wouldn't it be outstanding if we could beam this ceremony tonight to 20 million viewers across the U.S. to get the word out about mining? That would be awesome, huh? That would be awesome. So we have some extraordinary people to induct into the National Mining Hall of Fame this evening, as well as honoring the Prazen living legend of mining recipient. This is a serious occasion, right? but there's no reason why we can't make it fun. And you all are important to making it fun. Okay? So, I am tired already of the polite clap, clap, clap applause. I already am. I'm tired of it already. It's kind of boring. So, I want to bring you into this, right? So, what I want to hear tonight, because this is our Academy Award equivalent, I want to hear violent applause, right? Violent applause. And I want to hear hoots and hollers. And I've already planted some folks here who will hoot and holler to show you how it's done. But what I really wanted to do, Francine was the lady who helped put the videos together and put the run a show together that we're doing tonight. And she says, what about cowbells? And I said, that is awesome. And she says, too late, I can't order them getting here. So we don't have cowbells. So you have to replace the cowbells, okay? So we're going to practice. We're going to practice, right? Okay, we're going to practice. Violent applause, hoots and hollers. Welcome, everybody, to the National Mining Hall of Fame Gala and Induction Ceremony. Okay, that feels pretty good, doesn't it? Imagine being up here and being a recipient and hearing that. That's what we want. Awesome, great job. Okay, we'll come and practice again. So, mining has been hiding in plain sight for centuries, and it's important to show just how necessary and cool it is by honoring standouts in our industry and their work. You'll see a common theme tonight between them all. They not only have risen to the highest levels of the corporate, government, or academic world, but they've gone way beyond their jobs. You'll see that many of them support education, public policy, outreach, beyond their jobs, right? They're leaders in developing and implementing sustainable mining practices when it wasn't trendy. So, pardon me, I lost my place. They're humanitarians, they're entrepreneurs, they're philanthropists, they're educators, they're researchers, they're innovators, and they are heroes. But But most importantly, they are leaders and they are role models for all of us. Okay? So, before we begin the induction ceremony, I think we need to practice our violent applause with lots of hoot and hollering again. So please join me in thanking tonight's sponsors, Franco-Nevada, Newmont Mining Corporation, McGriff, Original Creations, Hecla, and don't forget our table hosts. Certainly without their generous support this evening would not be possible. Woo! We'll see if we can keep that up till 9:30 or 10, okay? I don't know, it keeps everyone awake though, right? It's fun to be part of this. All right, so let's roll. The National Mining Hall of Fame gives the Prazen Living Legend of Mining Award every year to an individual or organization for extraordinary work in educating the public on the importance of mining to everyday life. This year, that award goes to the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program at the Lowell Institute for Mineral Resources, and yes, at the University of Arizona. It's kind of like a presidential speech. They count how many times they were interrupted for applause. Okay, their dedication to educating K through 12 teachers and students about the role of mining in our daily lives and encouraging them to pursue careers in mining is exemplary, and I think that's awesome. As an educator and a mining engineering department head, I can tell you undergraduate enrollment in the fields of mining and mineral engineering is declining in almost every program in the United States, Canada, Australia, and Europe. You all know that the green energy movement, right, or renewable energies, or the energy transition, it's going to require way more metals and minerals than are currently being produced to transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So our industry is going to require even more people, right? Even more than we have now. So I applaud the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program for taking a critical leadership role in planting the seeds, right? The seeds at the K through 12 level to pursue careers in mining. Now, I want to, right? So, yeah, you got it. Okay, you got it. Okay. So I'd like to introduce you to Chris Ernest, who will appear in a little bit. He's the Education Outreach Coordinator for the program. Chris is ideal for this role. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in Geosciences from the University of Arizona, and both his mother and father are geologists. Yeah! And he's articulate and he's creative. So when I first met Chris at the SME annual conference a couple years ago, he gave me a resin-coated mineral with a QR code on it, and that was his business card. I still have that to this day. It's awesome. Okay, enough of me. Let's learn about the great work being done by the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program.
What began with a mom geologist volunteering in her children's elementary classrooms to teach students about minerals and mining has morphed into an industry and university partnership, helping K-12 students and beyond understand the importance of mineral resources and mining in everyday life. The Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program, based at the University of Arizona's Lowell Institute for Mineral Resources, provides engaging standards based on hands-on activities, helping students explore the science and engineering of mining through experimental learning. In classrooms, virtually, and at events such as STEAM fairs, participants learn how minerals get out of the ground and into things like our homes, personal care products, and cell phones. The program also seeks to inspire the next generation of miners by exploring the variety of career options available within the industry.
My name is Konstantinos Manoli. I'm a science teacher at the St. Cyril of Alexandria School. The programs that Chris provides are a real asset to augmenting our 7th and 8th grade classes. The activities Chris presents provide hands-on learning in line with the new national science standards. They require more hard obligations to work like a scientist in the classroom and utilize scientific inquiry structure. Many of our students have never been exposed to mining before. They take away that mining is involved in everything around them and learn that mining is done with a purposeful planning such as conservation and remediation plans to limit mining's impact to the natural world and communities.
My name is John Gangler. I go to the University of Arizona currently. So I am currently a geoscience major. I really want to work on environmental work on mining and kind of the geology of how mining works and how the environment reacts to mining and how we can actually work with mining so that there's not such an impact to the environment. Back in middle school, I think around 7th or 8th grade, they had a presentation about how we got copper from a green rock. And it was actually really cool. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I really want to know more about this. When I was in college, I actually met with Chris. We knew each other, so we kind of had like a personal touch with each other. And he offered me a job as an intern. I was like, oh, cool. And I realized that the same thing that I was doing in 7th and 8th grade, I'm currently doing now. We kind of go out and talk to kids about other things and other activities that mining has to deal with. So really, the whole experience with the outreach program has really come like really full circle for me. Now I get to talk to almost anybody like with confidence and being happy and trying to teach people about what I'm passionate about.
I'm Mary Polton, Distinguished Professor Emerita of Mining and Geological Engineering at the University of Arizona and past Director of the Lowell Institute for Mineral Resources at the University of Arizona. I was pleased to be associated with the Mineral Resources Outreach Program in the Lowell Institute, and the program's been hugely successful since it moved into the Lowell Institute. Over time, that program has now grown to not just be the K through 12 classroom outreach, but developing materials for teachers, webinars, online field trips, online visits to mine sites, working with museums, and so it's really focused now on the broader public outreach around the importance of minerals and also working on introducing students to careers in mining, and so recruiting students into mining engineering and metallurgical engineering economic geology and all the different disciplines that mining companies need.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Busby. I'm a middle school science teacher at Wilcox Middle School in Wilcox, Arizona. So as a science teacher, geology and earth science is a part of our curriculum. We teach it. But me talking about something and someone from the industry coming and discussing their hands-on experience is totally different. And it inspired my students because the volunteers who came down to do the workshop, they went around and they explained things in much more detail than I could. And the students could see that they are talking about it from their personal experience. So we don't really have the opportunities that big city schools have. So for someone to come down to our little school and discuss the possible opportunities outside and the career path that they must choose to get there was good, because that gave our students a little more knowledge about the opportunities that are available after school.
For excellence in classroom outreach to K through 12 and college level students throughout the state of Arizona, and the addition of virtual activities to reach students wherever they may be, with engaging programs demonstrating how mining and minerals affect our daily lives, we proudly present the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program with the 2022 Prazen Living Legend of Mining Award.
Please join me in welcoming Chris Ernest, accepting on behalf of the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program. Chris.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Steve. So yeah, I am Chris Ernest. I'm the Education Outreach Coordinator for the Mineral Resources Education Outreach Program at the Lowell Institute for Mineral Resources at the University of Arizona. And on behalf of the entire program, I would like to thank the National Mining Hall of Fame for choosing to honor us with the Prazen Living Legend Award. I know I speak for the whole team when I say that it is uplifting to our efforts to be recognized in this way. So thank you very much. Our program's mission is to help K through 12 students, educators, and the general public understand the importance of mining and mineral resources to everyday life. So let me set the scene. We arrive in the classroom and watch students' faces light up in wonder as they open a box of minerals for the first time, or scrunch up in concentration as they start drilling their first hole through some play sand to construct a cross-section. We help them discover that using the math they already have learned in school, they have the skills they need to construct a simple block model and begin designing a mine. And for me, the highlight of last year was when I was able to go to an elementary school career fair. I arrived in the office and there's a nurse and a firefighter and a policeman and a vet tech with the cutest golden lab that all the students wanted to run and pet. And we all got assigned to various rooms at the school, and students came throughout the day to hear about the careers we were presenting about. Once it was all over, they voted for the most interesting career, and I'm proud to say that they voted for the career they had never heard of before. As in one student said, they voted for the career where you could take rocks apart and get the minerals out, get the metals out. So that's right, they voted for metallurgist as the most interesting career. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But they, if we hadn't gone out there, they never would have heard of that, because they would have just heard from the policeman and the nurse and the firefighter like they always do. So results like that are thanks to some of the amazing people who have contributed to the program over the years. I mean, we got started off in the best way possible. Pam Wilkinson had incredible 10 years of dedicated and awesome service starting the program up. After that, Molly Radweny came in and leveraged the resources of the university and pioneered some great new programs like the Mineral Resource Discovery Workshop and a whole bunch of other workings with departments and laboratories at the University of Arizona. Dr. Mary Polton brought the program into the Lowell Institute and got it on good footing after the state kind of shifted it around a bit. And of course, Jody Bonta, who is here tonight over there. Hi, Jody, thanks. Jody is the program manager. So she keeps us on track and makes sure we're going in the direction we need to be going. And of course, also, Mario Munoz is the recruitment outreach coordinator we've been coordinating with to not just show students that mining is in their everyday lives, but show them how they could come in and find a place in the industry. So this great team brought the program to where we are today. I mean, to say nothing of all the staff in College of Engineering, College of Science, Communications, Administrative, our student interns, like you saw John on the video there, and of course the professors in Mining and Geological Engineering department. It was a pretty long list, but what I want to emphasize is that the program has truly become an all-in effort on the part of the university. And to drive the point home further, I'm pleased to announce that the Lowell Institute and the Education Outreach Program have moved into the new School of Mining and Mineral Resources. The school would be an excellent home for the program because we'll be able to draw in experts from around the university. All parts of the university are going to be part of the school, and we'll be able to draw those experts in and work with them and industry partners to reach even more people. And of course, that couldn't happen without the great financial support and industry connections provided by the Mining Foundation of the Southwest, who funds our program. To emphasize their commitment to education, the foundation has changed its name, another name change, to the Mining and Minerals Education Foundation. And they continue to fully fund and support the program. So from its first supporters like Bob Metz and Larry Dykers to other professionals in the industry, engineers, geologists, accountants, the program is where it is today thanks to financial support from the members of the foundation. That is to say, from people like everyone in this room. Without people like you to support our program, it would not be possible. So thank you very much. And I would remiss to say that if not for all the people both at the School of Mining and Mineral Resources and the Minerals Education Foundation, the program would not succeed. And everyone in this room can help us succeed. We can surpass the success we've already had. You know, you can contribute to an outreach program. You can volunteer to present at a school, especially students. High school students and middle school students love it when college students come to talk to them, just a hint. But talk to the young people in your life, you know, your children or other young people you know. Show them your passion for the industry, because mining creates the building blocks of society, but it also contains wonderful opportunities for people to reach their full potential. But those opportunities, they can remain hidden. So each one of us is an ambassador for the industry, and together, our passion can help bring the next generation to understand the world of mining and mineral resources. So in that case, I look forward to working with all of you, and thank you very much again.
It's very heavy. All right, let's do it one more time. Loud and wild and violent. Woo! Very well deserved. All right, that's the routine, right? I do an introduction. We have a video, which would be normally in Academy Award speak, a song and dance, or some kind of a performance. And then we have an acceptance speech, and then we have a little photo op. So that's what we're going to do. So now we have 5 inductees. Okay, and it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Tim Haddon as our first inductee into the National Mining Hall of Fame this year. I first met Tim over 30 years ago when I was working for Phelps Dodge in Montana, and we were on my team, we were pitching an investment in the McDonald Gold Project that actually never materialized. And I remember Tim at that point as being very sharp and wise and empathetic towards me and the project way back then. And since then, I've discovered that we've worked at many of the same mines and companies, just never at the same time or place. I guess you could call that making meta connections. Tim is vice chairman of the Mines Board of Trustees. Tim is emeritus vice chairman of the Board of Trustees for the School of Mines, and he's currently a member of the Colorado School of Mines Foundation Board of Governors along with me. And in those roles, I have to tell you, he's provided me with advice, mentorship, and yes, even funding for our signature student experience program, which sends students to field sessions, mine tours, and important events like the SME conferences and this National Mining Hall of Fame induction banquet. Tim's trailblazing insistence in his career on safety, sustainable mining practices, and equitably sharing wealth in the communities in which we mine have become now standard operating procedures in the industry. So it's not at all surprising that while he was on the board of trustees at Mines, that he was a champion in establishing the Peng Institute for Public Policy to facilitate the collection and development of information to aid the factual, non-political, critical mineral decision-making processes. Critical stuff, right, for critical minerals. Tim, I admire your dedication to supporting education, implementing sustainable mining concepts, and to your leadership of the humanitarian and ethical side of our business. Thank you so much for your mentorship and congratulations. Please watch these highlights with me.
Nearly 30 years ago, Mining World News described Timothy Haddon as a new generation of mining CEO who combines the high-risk pull-out-all-the-stops legacy of yesterday's miners with the modern executive's keen awareness that excellent community and governmental relations are critical to the survival of a mining company. He believed in leaving the land better than you found it, and sharing the wealth mining creates with the communities impacted by mining is not only critical to a mining company's survival, but is the right thing to do.
I first was introduced to Tim while I was an undergraduate student at Mines in the 80s. I had the opportunity to get to really know Tim when I joined the faculty in 2005. Tim was very actively involved in mines for a long time. One of the things that truly stands out in his career is that he was one of the first true leaders of any of the mid-caps and major mining companies to really integrate sustainability before sustainability was an actual thing. Tim was real instrumental in the development of the concepts that we take for granted today as it pertains to non-negotiable values, and that pertains to employee safety and health, that involves environmental stewardship, and also, social issues related to the local communities in which mines operate.
I always admire people whose integrity kind of stands out, and Tim is definitely that person. He is just one of those people who is always conscious of and certain that he's going to do the right thing. And so that makes him a pleasure to work with and easy to work with, because the kinds of conflicts that come up if someone doesn't have that attitude never come up with Tim.
Since the late 80s, I found out certain members of the mining community were very progressive and tried to do mine and there's always some impacts when you mine, but trying to do some innovative things. And that's why the category I put Tim in is trying to do things that were both profitable, but at the same time would not do any unnecessary damage to the environment. And Tim was one of those guys I came to trust. I liked his sense of humor, and it was always a pleasure to meet him and have a beer together and chat about going on in the world.
I could think of a lot of accolades when it comes to Tim, but paramount in my mind is really his passion and commitment to doing things right, and that starts really with safety. He really understood it's the basic operating discipline, and safe mines are productive mines and low-cost mines. And when times were challenging, he always had a bit of a sense of humor and sort of helped disarm things a bit. And I could think of a lot of challenging times, but he would sort of, just sort of relax and take the sort of high road to it, and I think that may come from his background. He's really a self-made guy. He showed up at the Colorado School of Mines with a suitcase and not much money. So he's done so many things. I think he just knows if you keep your nose to the grindstone, you'll get ahead.
Giving back, paying forward. That we have a great responsibility when we're producing minerals and products to make sure that it's done ethically, environmentally responsibly, and that's what we're teaching kids now.
After 50-plus years in the industry, Tim is a recognized trailblazer in environmental stewardship, a savvy CEO who built and grew major mining companies by demanding technical excellence, set the tone for a culture of safety, and an investment in people, a respected industry leader around the world, bringing stakeholders across disciplines and mindsets to the table to improve how we mine while simultaneously educating about the critical role mining plays in our lives and economies. He remains a force in the industry with a passionate drive for student and young professional development through his work with and generous support of the Colorado School of Mines to ensure the next generation of miners are technically proficient and socially responsible humanitarian engineers. For these reasons, we proudly induct Timothy Haddon into the National Mining Hall of Fame.
Okay, now we can hear. Welcome, Tim. Congratulations.
Thank you for those kind words, Steve, and for everybody else. I first met Steve when he was working at 7-Up Pete in Montana with Pat Ryan and Dick DeVoto. That was over 30 years ago, and he hasn't changed a bit. I would first like to thank the National Mining Hall of Fame for bestowing this honor on me. I'm truly humbled and feel that there are a number of people more deserving than I. As a third-generation African-born miner, I marvel at where I came from and where I am today versus where I came from. I left Salisbury, Rhodesia, now Harare, Zimbabwe, a month after turning 17. As Ed said, with my one suitcase, I boarded a train to Cape Town, then a boat to Southampton, England, then flying to Denver after spending a few months in France learning French. On arriving in Golden, I was assigned a dorm room with a fellow from Borga, Texas. This is where the Winston Churchill adage, two countries separated by a common language, came into play. We took about 3 days before we began to understand each other. His Texas drawl and my pucker English accent made understanding each other very difficult. Following graduation, I took a job with Texas Gulf based in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. Since then, my 50-year career has had me working on all continents except Antarctica. As an aside, our last international move required a full sea-tainer, a long cry from the one suitcase I started with. This honor belongs to a number of people with whom I have interacted over the last 50 years. Firstly, I have to thank my wife, Mary, without whose support and love I would not have received this award. Our children, Michael and Jennifer, who have made numerous moves with us and while they were growing up. A person who was most to do with nominating me is my friend Dorothy Kosich, a very accomplished journalist who is currently writing a book about a famous television actor and stuntman in the 50s and 60s. Like all of us here, I worked with many mentors and colleagues and would like to recognize them. Firstly, Amex employees Stan Dempsey and Jack Goth, both of whom are here tonight, and I really want to recognize them. We worked together in Australia, Connecticut, and Denver. At Amex Gold, Donnie Wigleben, Marv Kaiser, Tom Irwin, Andy Pooler, and Lisa Maestas. Kevin Lockery at First Dynasty Mines in Thompson Creek. Incidentally, I had the pleasure of being on the board of Thompson Creek with fellow honoree Tom O'Neill. At Anatolia Minerals, later Alliser Gold, Dick Moores and Ed Dowling, both of whom were instrumental in making this company a success. The Colorado School of Mines has been an important institution in my working life, and I have had the honor of working with folks like Hugh Miller, George Ansell, Bill Scoggin, and Paul Johnson, just to name a few. There are also many individuals who helped tutor and mentor me who are no longer alive. And these are names from the mining industry that should ring some bells. Chuck Fogarty, Charlie Brechtel, J.G. Pinkerton at Texas Gulf, Al Bourne, Elwin Smith, and Ned Wood at Amex. Our industry has come a long way in the last 50 years. We have made significant advances in both technical and societal issues.
We have taken to heart the need of all stakeholders and the need to share the wealth we create. I'm proud to have been a part of an industry which assists in the advancement of civilization. To the younger folks in the audience tonight, you have an exciting future in mining. There are many truly amazing developments in our industry, such as the adoption of autonomous mining, advances in safety, progress in environmental sciences, the recognition of indigenous peoples' rights, and the use of AI. With the increasing need for minerals in society today, the importance of mining going forward and your role in it cannot be overstated. Good luck, and thank you again. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
We're going to do this again. Watch. You can take it with you. It's yours. You just got it. All right, one more time for Tim, huh? Woo! Now for one of my favorite parts. Our next awardee is Pierre Lassonde. He's, I got to tell you, I'm delighted to be able to introduce him, and I'm a bit intimidated. I mean, honestly, I just am. I'm delighted because I've known Pierre for almost 20 years, and he hired me as head of exploration for Newmont in 1993. But here's why I'm intimidated. I'm intimidated because he was the master of ceremonies for the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame for 20 years. That's tough. That's great. And he's famous for wearing a gold tuxedo, and you can always spot him in a crowd when he does that. That is a hard act to follow, which is why I'm a little intimidated. Pierre and I have had some very fun times working together, and he's probably going to share some of those, and I might be embarrassed, I'm not sure. But it wasn't without our tense moments, which are probably more interesting. So, for example, when I walked into Pierre's office for the first time I had an interview, he said, well, you have a very interesting background, and I didn't know how to take that. And we proceeded to talk about my career and what I learned about working with Robert Friedland at Summitville. Okay, that was really an interesting way to start an interview. I thought that was interesting. And he hired me anyways. And then a couple days later when I started working, or a few weeks later when I started working, the first meeting I had with him, he asked me to present my strategy for discovering 10 million ounces of gold per year from greenfields exploration alone to the board of directors of Newmont 3 days later, right? And I just started working. So what I told Pierre was that I would be happy to present a strategy to the board, but I thought his ask was not only unrealistic, it was irrational. I have to tell you, from that point on, Pierre has been awesome. He gave me and exploration tremendous support, even for seemingly crazy ideas. So he would always start his response to my crazy idea by saying, Anders, what are you smoking these days? Perhaps the most striking thing I learned about Pierre was during a Newmont executive leadership retreat. You know the kind, where you start out with an icebreaker activity. Well, we were asked to disclose something about ourselves that we didn't think anyone else knew in that particular group of people. And when it was Pierre's turn, he told us that he always wanted to be an architect. But he got rejected from architecture school. So he went to Polytechnique Montreal, ended up getting an electrical engineering degree instead. But he wasn't particularly excelling at that either, so he went on to the University of Utah to get an MBA. Of course, we now know that he landed a job with a top money management firm, and he met Seymour Schulich. Together, they created a completely different business model in gold investment. That's what's really cool is it didn't require mining at all on their part, and he co-founded the incredibly successful Franco-Nevada, who's here tonight with a table. I heard, maybe it's not true, but here's what I heard, is that some people called them he and Seymour, they call them miners with Gucci's. Is that right? Yeah, there you go. So anyways, Pierre has since become one of the most foremost and respected industry experts on gold. And so here's what's interesting. When Pierre wrapped up his self-disclosure, he just shrugged his shoulders and humbly said, I guess I'm still an architect. I just build companies instead. I have never forgotten that story. It's awesome. So Pierre is the epitome of keeping at it until you find your niche in life. Pierre, you have been an inspiration and a source of knowledge and wisdom to everyone who has worked with you. On behalf of all exploration geologists in particular, and mining entrepreneurs, I want to profoundly thank you. Let's look at his story.
A visionary strategic thinker, Pierre Lassonde, along with partner Seymour Sulich, launched the modern mineral royalty industry through the creation of Franco-Nevada. The concept has proven so successful over time that when Pierre invests, others quickly follow. He literally wrote the book on precious metals investments, the Gold Book, the complete investment guide to precious metals from which the Lassonde curve evolved, becoming a foundational guide for investors focused on exploration and development of mineral properties. His work with the World Gold Council led to the development of its public gold exchange traded fund and of its conflict-free gold standard. Pierre's career is one of extraordinary and lasting accomplishments. Perhaps even more extraordinary is the impact Pierre continues to have by mentoring others and making transformative investments in the education of tomorrow's miners and entrepreneurs.
I've been lucky to have been partnered with Pierre Lassonde for over 35 years. And Pierre is one of those most extraordinary individuals that one comes across in a lifetime. From very humble beginnings, he has become many things. He was become a very successful money manager, an investor, a gold industry expert, a businessman, art collector, philanthropist, and overall bon vivant with a joie de vivre. Pierre co-founded the original Franco-Nevada with Seymour Sulich back in 1982 with a very small sum of money. In 1986, Pierre purchased the Gold Strike royalties that became the foundation for the success that followed. He and Seymour pioneered the mining royalty business, and in 2002 sold the original Franco-Nevada to Newmont for almost $3 billion. In 2007, Pierre and I worked together to relaunch the new Franco-Nevada. From that $1.3 billion launch, we were able to grow the new Franco-Nevada to a market value of over $28 billion US.
Being Pierre's boss, as CEO, and he was president, was, I would make the analogy, it was a bit like being an NBA coach and having a superstar basketball player. His intellect is superior. His knowledge of the gold industry is, I think, unique in some respects. But he's intellectually honest. Family means a lot to him. His friends mean a lot to him. And you can't speak about Pierre without understanding his generosity and the positive things that he's done with his dough.
When Pierre first approached us about creating an entrepreneurship program here at the University of Utah, he had three real principles. One, it should be student-focused. Two, it should be multidisciplinary. And three, it should be entrepreneurial. We've been able to build in 20 years from no program to a top 10 program with a huge amount of resources for student entrepreneurs. We have over 400 startup companies coming out of the program every year. Technology commercialization programs helping university faculty members commercialize their technology. And we have this incredible student facility, the Lassonde Studios, that has a dorm and a full prototyping space and a lot of collaborative and co-working spaces for student entrepreneurs.
He spends an incredible amount of time working in advancing, women's roles in mining, shepherding students, really helping young entrepreneurs like myself find their way. He never leaves anyone feeling unsupported. And so as a result, when you're around him, you kind of feel like you have the wind in your sails all the time. For every 20 people or so, that, like myself, that he's had a significant impact, they'll have 20 people that they'll mentor in the same way. If you think about it, a generation or so from now, there are thousands of people people that will be, mentored in the way that Pierre approaches problems, the way he approaches solutions, and the way he takes care of the people around him. It's really remarkable.
I think one of the things that I'm very proud of is the GLD, the Gold ETF, that was created by the World Gold Council in 2004. And at the time, I was chairman of the World Gold Council. Today, the GLD is a crucial part of the gold industry. The most fun one can have is a new discovery in a new place, create so much wealth, and bring young people, talented people, build something that has lasting value.
For Pierre's vision in mine investment, executive leadership, and out-of-the-box thinking resulting in the first public gold mining royalty business, which generated a new mining investment industry, producing many other precious metals royalty-based companies, for being the quintessential gold bug, and his role in transforming the World Gold Council into the senior-most gold organization in the world, and for his dedication to investing in people through generous philanthropic support of numerous mineral engineering programs, geoscience programs, and scholarships, as well as mentoring students and young professionals by sharing his own experience and expertise gained from 45 plus years in the industry. For these reasons, we proudly induct Pierre Lassonde into the National Mining Hall of Fame.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real honor to be here tonight, and to be honored by your peers is, without a doubt, the crowning achievement of one's career. And I'd like to borrow a line here from the immortal Bob Hope. I feel very humble, but I think I have the strength of character to fight it. Steve said that we go back 22 years when Steve was VP Exploration, and he and I traveled the world together from the mountain of Sichuan in China to eastern Turkey, inside of the border with Iraq and Iran. But our most memorable trip, and I call it exotic, was to Amsterdam. And we had to go meet a madame. And Steve lusted after some of her assets. Madame was a Surinamese lady, and she owned some of the best gold concessions in Suriname. And so then began the hard work, the push and the pull, and the haws and the who's, and the sacrifice we make to get deals done. Now, please, the table here is Newmont Legal Office. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we got a deal done, and today it's one of Newmont's best mines. So we got the deal done, didn't we? So I'm not sure how much gold Steve ever found, but he was sure fun to travel with. I'd like to express my deep gratitude tonight to Bob Schaefer, who put my name forward for this honor. When I asked him why he did it, he pleaded temporary insanity, so he should go into politics. There are three people that are most responsible for me being here tonight. One is Seymour Schulich, my co-founding partner. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, but two of them are here, Wayne Murdy and David Harkwell. So as you saw in the video, in 2001, actually it was 9/11, we were supposed to meet to get the deal going. Well, Wayne never made it to Toronto. This deal, the Newmont Franco-Normandy mining, a triple merger, the biggest deal ever done in the entire industry. We worked together, and one day we ended up in Australia, and we were invited to a golf course over a weekend. And before we started, they said, well, there's an exotic bird in the forest here, a cuckoo bird of some kind, whatever. But I had something planned already. So on the 15th hole, I said, look, there's a bird, the cuckoo bird. So everybody looked around, and I switched Wayne's ball to a trick ball. And then when we couldn't find the bird, he turned around, and by that time we were a bit late, so he got ready, and he took the biggest backswing I've ever seen him took, and he whacked the ball, and it was an exploding ball. And the thing smoke, and he thought like, oh, I really destroyed this one. Then he looked back, we were rolling in the grass laughing. So I don't think he ever forgive me, but Wayne, I thank you tonight for being here, and I thank you for your friendship and wisdom over the years. In 2008, we saw the rebirth of Franco-Nevada, as we said, in a $1.2 billion IPO, led by David Harquail in particular. David simply outmastered the master. And by taking the company from 1.2 billion to 28 billion. Trust me, David, I owe you hundreds of millions of thanks. David is a relentlessly focused, driven individual. Now, a few years back, and I'll just give you the kind of character he is. He was invited to a shoot in England. Now, those shoot, as you know, you have to wear a tie to kill birds, okay? They're very serious. And so everybody's on the peg line, everybody's shooting, and then there's a cry that comes in from the top of the peg line, don't shoot the bird, don't shoot the bird, don't. Who shot the bird? Harquail. It was a turkey. Now, David, you really did it, and thank you for being here. Money in itself is meaningless. It's what you do with it that matters. And I'm really touched that tonight, Taylor Randall, the president of the University of Utah, is here with his wife Janet, and Troy D'Ambrosio and his wife Paula, and Heidi and her husband from the University of Utah. What they have done, yeah, please. What they've accomplished with an idea that I gave them a little bit of money over the last 20 years is nothing short of miraculous. The Lassonde Entrepreneur Institute is now rated consistently in the top 10, and in the last survey, we're among the public school, the second in the country, which is absolutely incredible. So, after 38 years with Franco, I took my second or third retirement. It did not last a weekend. I don't know the word retirement. And now I have three fabulous partners, John Graham, Ren D'Ambrosio, Doug Bell, and we act as a merchant bank. They're the merchants, I'm the bank. It works really well. So to conclude, I'd like to thank my daughter, Julie, who's here tonight, and her husband, Mike, and my other two kids who are back home, unfortunately, for their indefectible love, but mostly for the 7 fabulous grandkids that they've given me. That is the true wealth. Thank you so much.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, so just some feedback. Violent is violent, okay? And hooting and hollering has to accompany it. Okay. I'll introduce you to Dr. Tom O'Neill, our third inductee into the National Mining Hall of Fame this evening. I first met Tom when he was department head for mining and geological engineering at the University of Arizona, when I was getting my master's degree. It's great. It was where he was. You notice the education theme here? Either the in education or you're supporting it. It's very cool. At that time, I'd already had a few years of work experience because I wasn't just someone right out of school. And I found Tom really helpful with his sage advice on careers and how you get through academia for me as an older person. I found out later I was a much older student. And it was really helpful, and I really appreciated it. But what I didn't know then was that Tom would go on from a good career in the academic world to an even greater career in industry. And of course, I did just the opposite. I went from a great career in industry to a good career in academia. Well, just how it works. So when I caught up with Tom in September to congratulate him on getting into the Hall of Fame, he said, returning to academia, I bet that was a shock. Tom was quick to emphasize that he loved both of his careers, and he really liked teaching and building things, like the University of Arizona's Sanavir Underground Mining Lab. And as with many of the National Mining Hall of Fame inductees, Tim also likes building companies too, So he left the U of A to join Amoco Metals, Cypress Minerals, where he was the project manager for Copperstone in Arizona. Then he went on to Cleveland Cliffs in 1991, where he rose through the ranks and became president and CEO before he retired in 2003. Given such an outstanding career, I asked him some of my favorite questions when we caught up, and some of you know what some of my favorite questions are because I've asked them of you. And the first question was, how did you get into mining? And I'm going to let him tell you that. The second question was, what was his biggest regret or most important learning experience that he had? And he told me it was about not keeping his mouth shut at times, which I've learned that lesson in a very hard way. Well, those of you who realize that will understand that there's a lot to be learned from keeping your mouth shut sometimes. The third question was about his favorite commodity. And although Tom spent a big part of his career in the iron ore and steel business, he told me, copper's my favorite commodity. Sounds like an Arizona guy to me. All right, finally, I asked him about his favorite experience, right? What's your favorite experience in your career? Because we have long careers with lots of things that go on. And he says it was working for Cypress, where they had a major flaw in construction of a new ball mill at the Selwyn mine in Australia. Apparently, Tom learned a lot about poor designs, bad installation, and ultimately lawsuits and how to get things fixed, and I'll just leave it at that. Tom is a rare combination of successful businessman, revered university department chair and professor. He's a well-respected leader in board advisory and governance roles over a remarkable 54-year career in mining. While known for his self-deprecating sense of humor, Tom is valued for his ability to listen, communicate thoughtfully, and has forged talent about how to bring the best out of others, and most importantly, for how do we all win together attitude. Let's hear about Tom O'Neill.
Tom O'Neill is the definitive example of Benjamin Franklin's quote, "If you want something done, ask a busy person." Despite demanding leadership roles as a professor, department chair, and CEO, Tom co-authored the definitive textbook, Mine Investment Analysis, gave years of service as an industry advisor at the University of Arizona and the Society of Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration, and yet he always had time for a student or colleague.
Tom did a Master of Science degree. Later, he went to the University of Arizona, where he finished his PhD degree. The University of Arizona in mining engineering chose him as their department head right off the PhD.
I'm Mary Polton, Distinguished Professor Emerita of Mining and Geological Engineering at the University of Arizona. Tom had been a professor in the department before my time and had been a very successful department head. And he very successfully expanded the department and made it a really strong reputation. And he was instrumental in us creating an industry leadership board, which he led for a very long time. Tom had done things like add the San Javier Underground Mining Laboratory to the department when he was head. It's a world-class mining laboratory now that's being accessed by mining technology leaders globally. It's a phenomenal resource.
I have had great many interactions and experiences with Tom. Of course, as an instructor and teacher, I was always looking for materials, and Tom's contribution to the mining body of knowledge, his writings, I had used them extensively as my resources, not only for teaching, but as handouts and for guiding my graduate students as well in new research areas. I came to appreciate Tom's great ability to develop good ideas and carry them forward by himself. Also, I realized that people that he surrounded himself with, they appreciated his ability to direct them and lead them, and they in turn loved working for him.
Hey, I'm Ed Dowling, and I've known Tom O'Neill for a long time. principally initially through SME, but I ended up working for Tom at Cleveland Cliffs after 1998. He's had an amazing career path, really seamlessly moving from academia to mining operations to corporate leadership roles in mining companies and to even governance roles at the corporate level. And Tom's made many, many notable accomplishments. I truly admired Tom's deep sense of care, respect, and concern for the full breadth of the stakeholders surrounding us, particularly at Cleveland Cliffs. It's not just the employees, but the communities. We had many partners in our mines, and our partners, our customers, really way beyond the company and the company's agenda itself.
I've been lucky knowing Tom not only as an instructor, professor, while he was department chair at the College of Mining and Geological Engineering, but I've also known him quite extensively through the Society of Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration over the years, SME. As soon as you see him, his eyes light up and the smile goes on his face. And so you know you're welcome to talk with him, welcome to ask him questions, and welcome to have a great discussion. I really think of Tom as a renaissance man of mining. He was a brilliant professor at the University of Arizona, but he was also, as you can see, a very successful businessman who's been well recognized by the industry, and it's all well deserved.
I've had a great career. I've loved it. There was hardly a day in my career where I couldn't wait to get to work in the morning when I got up. I'm proud of the fact that I was successful both in education, I guess, and also in industry during some pretty tough times in industry. When you think about it, mining underpins everything we do. So I'm very proud to be a miner, and I'm delighted to be recognized by the Hall of Fame.
For Tom's tireless dedication to the welfare of the industry, specifically his vision as department chair and professor in building the University of Arizona's Mining and Geological Engineering Department, elevating its global reputation in computer applications, mineral economics, and geostatistics, establishing the San Javier Mine Laboratory, allowing students to gain first-hand mining experience, starting a graduate program in mineral economics to better prepare students for the business aspects of mining, and helping create the Lowell Institute for Mineral Resources. His astute leadership and technical innovation as CEO of Cleveland Cliffs, which brought the company through a depression in the domestic steel industry and broadened its vision as a more global entity. And for his integrity, hard work, and service through 56 years in the industry, we proudly induct Thomas O'Neill into the National Mining Hall of Fame.
That's my family down there. I don't know where we went wrong, but they're making a lot of noise down there. I want to thank Steve for that very kind introduction. You may not know it, but this is the first time we see these videos. So in the interest of full disclosure, I think I have to say that they've taken all the bad stuff out of that. They don't. There's nothing in there to tell what a knucklehead I can be sometime. You can if you want further elaboration on that, you can speak to my wife. So it's I think Pierre said it best when you receive an honor like this from your peers, it's really an awesome experience. It's a great honor. It's clearly one of the highlights of my career. Even though I spent a big part of my life talking for a living as an academic, it's hard to find the right words to express that. Like most honors, however, this is not a singular achievement. Many people over many years have helped mold the man who stands before you here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize some of the main contributors. Of course, every honoree typically honors their spouse, and for good reason. In my case, my wife Peggy has unflinchingly supported me through 16 relocations and 60 years of married life as I fumble around trying to find what I want to be when I grow up. That quest continues, by the way, but the options are growing ominously fewer. There's no question in my life that I'm a better man because of Peggy, and I will forever be thankful for her love. Yeah, clearly the greatest gift from those 60 years of marriage are our 4 children who are all here this evening. And they all have, in spite of our dubious parenting skills, they all have turned out to be great adults and have wonderful careers in their own right. So I'm really thankful for that. And this also extends to their spouses, whom we dearly love. And if you have an hour or two after this is over, I'd like to tell you about our 8 great-grandchildren. The final group I'd like to thank are the many colleagues and friends that made me look good over the years, which was not an easy task, by the way. 2 that deserve special attention here tonight are Jan Mutmansky and Raj Ramani, who are out here somewhere, and they nominated me for this honor. As you're probably aware, in my path to this podium has been particularly tortuous, back and forth between academia and industry. My father died when I was 15, and with limited male guidance in the house, I did what many teenage boys do in high school. I played sports and chased girls. I was woefully ignorant about career choices, and I told my guidance counselor I wanted a career where I would get to see the world. And he handed me a brochure on exploration geophysics. It sounded pretty good to me, so that's where I started out in college. My shift over to mining engineering happened a little bit later on when I found out there's far less physics I had to take in that area. Anyway, I was pretty naive about the outside world when I graduated from Lehigh. And it took me quite a while to figure things out and mature professionally. I never had a formal mentor, but I was fortunate to have many fine leaders I worked for. I came to admire them because of their work ethic, integrity, humility, and good humor, qualities that I've attempted to emulate over the years with varying degrees of success. It would take me too far to mention all those who helped me along the way, but I need to name a few here. First, there was Professor Howard Hartman at Penn State, and I was his teaching assistant, and he helped me mature quite a bit. Then Tom Holmes, the CEO of Ingersoll Rand when I worked there. Bill Lacey, who's head of the Department at Arizona, he was extraordinarily kind to me and my family and helped me in my career. Another man you probably recognize, Simon Strauss of ASARCO. He was a visiting professor in our department, and I enjoyed my association with him greatly. And finally, Steve Mooney, my boss at Cypress, is a very admirable fellow. Finally, I want to sing the praises of our great profession a little. My career has been a joy. I think as Steve mentioned, or I said on the video, there was hardly a day when I woke up in the morning I couldn't wait to get to work. I'd do it all over again. Hopefully I'd make different mistakes next time, but it was, as I say, a real joy. It's really a shame that more young men and women don't understand what a rewarding and exciting career mining can be. So when the attacks of our many detractors start to wear you down, just remember that what a truly noble calling mining is. We supply all the building blocks of civilization, a fact which gave me great pleasure in my career, and it should for you too. The economic pyramid of society gets ever higher, wider, and more complex, but mining is still the essential base that underpins it all. I'll be forever proud to be a miner, and you should be too. In closing, I want to thank the board of directors. In closing, I want to thank the Board of Directors for this fine honor. And I also want to thank the Board of Governors, who are ably led by Barb Filas. Thank you very much.
So what I like about standing ovations is you can't complain about sitting for 2 hours. It's awesome. All right. So if we had a baseball game on, maybe we'd have a 7th inning stretch here. So we got 2 more to go, right? And so I want to go to where I'm supposed to be. I want to congratulate Dr. Syd S. Peng as this year's 4th inductee to the National Mining Hall of Fame. Despite working in the same industry, Syd's and my paths never intersected. So when I read his bio and I asked folks that I know him, I discovered that was my loss. Syd is a very remarkable man, and he's an expert on ground control and longwall mining who's made major contributions to both industry and academia. Same theme, huh? So when I shared to Syd that I was department head for mining engineering at the Colorado School of Mines, he told me that he'd been the chair of mining engineering at West Virginia University from 1978 to 2006. Yikes, that's 28 years as a department head. Wow. It's mind-boggling to me. Okay, he must be a really remarkable man. Syd has a rare gift for building relationships, and as department chair, he fostered alumni, government, industry support to forge one of the most sustainable departments at West Virginia University. As a young mining engineer in Taiwan, Syd worked for the government at a very remote mine where many workers were killed every year. Syd told me like 13 per year. Like shocking, right? Just shocking. He told me that this was due to rock bursts prompted by methane gas outbursts in underground mines, and that did not sit very well with him. So looking for answers, he reached out to William Krentz at the U.S. Bureau of Mines, which leads to the rest of the story. Mr. Krentz encouraged Syd to come to the United States for advanced studies to find solutions to increase safety in Taiwan's thin coal seams that were complicated by a lot of geologic structure. And in doing so, over the course of Syd's career, his research became instrumental in fundamentally improving production and safety of coal mining. In 2006, Director David Dye of MSHA said of Syd, "Your contributions in longwall mining and ground control have had a major impact on improving safety and reducing fatalities at America's mines. Many miners are alive today because of your dedicated work to protect them." Syd's work to improve miner safety has gone way beyond American borders to numerous countries around the world. Let's watch the video.
Born and raised in a very rural and very poor region of Taiwan, Dr. Syd Peng has achieved not only the American dream by taking advantage of educational opportunities and working hard, but has gained worldwide recognition as an expert educator, researcher, author, and consultant in longwall mining and coal mine ground control.
My name is Bo Yu. I was a graduate student at West Virginia University from 2000 to 2004. At that time, Syd was the director and the professor at the mining department. In the 1960s, he worked as a young miner in Chinese coal mines, and he experienced the horribly unsafe conditions and high fatality rates in the mines. By 2010, he had trained 500 Chinese engineers and officials in the United States. His adoption of many technologies in coal mine ground control has improved the safety, the coal mine safety, and reduced fatalities.
I originally worked with Syd back in the 1980s. I was a teaching assistant for Syd at WU University. I did research with him on longwall mining as well as subsidence, and we did a lot of good work back then. As far as Syd, he has provided extensive and detailed research, educational and mining industry knowledge and information to provide the abilities of mines throughout the world to improve mine design capabilities, enhance ground control stabilities, design safety, and especially longwalls to proceed for successful designs and enhancements. As a result, these techniques used by U.S. longwall mining in the 1980s then became a world standard and remain so today.
My name is James Larita Jr. I have known Syd since I went to school. I was a student. When Syd became chair of the mining engineering department, he not only pushed his students to excel, but he raised the bar on the level of professionalism. His demand for professional and technical excellence really pushed Western University Mining Engineering Department to be a top-tier mining program.
In about 2000, Professor Peng asked me if I wanted to complete my PhD in engineering. And I said, yes, I'd be happy to. And it was quite an honor for me. And I went to WVU and I ended up getting my PhD under his guidance and supervision. Dr. Peng's efforts have firmly established the role of ground control in mine design, and ground control is standard terminology in mining engineering and duly recognized discipline in mine operations.
My name is Dave Carnegie. I'm the Executive Director of the Society for Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration. It's a great honor this evening to welcome Syd into the Mining Hall of Fame. He's a great member to the mining community. He's an outstanding educator. He's a mentor to students and young professionals. He's been a consultant for many mining companies over the years and has solved many problems for those mining companies. And most importantly to the society, he's a great philanthropist. Syd and Felicia donated over $1 million to the SME Foundation many years ago that have allowed the Peng Ground Control Award to exist as we give out recognition to individuals that do great work and research in ground control, as well as provide scholarships to students.
The industry people all over the U.S. and in the mineral producing state, also as mine people, they would ask me to help them to solve their problem. And I did. I feel very good about it because what I have done, it can help them solve their problem, save the mine, and even save a job. That's the most, I think, enjoyable and realizing what I have achieved.
For his overall substantial impact on the lives of others through innovative solutions and long-term impact on coal mine ground control and longwall mining, which have greatly improved the safety of mines and miners around the world, his extraordinary ability to turn theory into practice, explain it in understandable terms that could be directly incorporated into the mines, and solve complex ground control issues, along with his many publications and down-to-earth expertise in educating and mentoring students, colleagues, and coworkers, and his benevolence in creating scholarships for students, we proudly induct Dr. Syd S. Peng into the National Mining Hall of Fame.
The slower it takes to get up here, the more applause you get. Congratulations.
When I received a phone call from Steve Whittington on March 14, informing me that I am a member of the class of 2022 inductee of the National Hall of Mining Hall of Fame, I was very thrilled and excited for such an honor. It has been a very long journey that started about 6 decades ago from a rural farming family in mid-central Taiwan to reach today's induction into the National Hall of Fame. I wish to thank you, Mr. Krantz, just like Mr. Andrews said, at the former Bureau of Mine, now in NIOSH, for encouraging me to the U.S. for advanced study and to help me find a solution to end the horrific death of miner I witnessed as a young mining engineer in Taiwan. Not only did Mr. Krantz encourage me to come, but he also secured admission for me at South Dakota School of Mine and Technology for my MS degree. He also found a summer job for me to help me to finance the study. He was largely responsible for my 40-plus year career in the U.S., which also enabled me to go to China for the last 10 years to play a very critical role in improving miner safety and in the education of the mining engineer in the university. I want to thank you, Dr. Halim Maliki, who nominated me for the award, and the National Mining Hall of Fame Board of Directors for selecting me into the Hall of Fame. Now, throughout my career, I have received about 21 awards from state, regional, national, and international institutions. Many of my achievements have been cited in all those awards. However, the National Mining Hall of Fame Board of Directors, which evaluate and move nomination forward, is the first committee to use the citation, quote, for his extraordinary ability to turn theory into practice, unquote, which is most appreciated because it really is, I think, that was one of my strong points, because I have been or was invited repeatedly to solve safety and mining problems in all mineral producing states in the U.S. and 16 foreign countries. Thank you again to the Board of Governors and the Board of Directors for this recognition. And I also want to thank my late wife, Felicia, whom I met and married while we were in our PhD study program at Stanford University. Our marriage greatly strengthened my confidence and determination to succeed because she was a popular idol among Chinese students, but she chose me against very strong family opposition. So, thank you. Thank you. Now, throughout my 40-plus year career, she served as my wife, consultant, supporter, and friend, in addition to be an excellent mother and mentor for our children and students. contributing greatly to my career success. Finally, I also wanted to thank you, those family members and colleagues over there to the table who have come to be with me to witness my receiving this honor. Thank you.
Yeah, this thing sit again. Woo! All right. Last, but certainly the oldest, I want to present Sheldon Wimpfen as our 5th inductee into the National Mining Hall of Fame. As you might guess, our paths never crossed, so I never got to meet him. However, I had a great conversation with his daughter, Karen Ambrose, as I was preparing for this event. I think Sheldon's entry into the world of mining is very relevant to students and young professionals today. So I just want to take a moment and ask our students to stand. Can you please stand, all the students, please? Thank you. You all have great careers to look forward to, and someday maybe being even up here. So when Sheldon graduated with a degree in mining engineering from Texas College of Mines and Metallurgy in 1934, he took the college president's advice that there is no career open to young men and women which allures more adventurous prospects. Very cool advice. His colorful, globe-trotting, multifaceted career is a testament to that statement. I hope sharing careers like Sheldon's inspires a new generation of men and women, not only in mining engineering, but in the much broader array of disciplines that we need in mining to support today. From early in his career, Sheldon was truly interested in the native cultures from wherever he went. He was an early leader and immersed himself into those communities, and he learned to respect their cultures. When telling the tale of working among the headhunters at a gold mine in the Philippines, Sheldon was once asked if he feared for the safety of his family. He responded, "Nah, they only collect heads from enemy tribes." Today, we would look at that as a fairly high geopolitical risk for ourselves and our coworkers, much less for our families. Sheldon was deeply interested in what the earth could provide to better humanity. He immersed himself in industry as well, and he knew it inside out. And he wore many hats, and he was good at all of them. While at the U.S. Bureau of Mines, Sheldon created the Minerals Availability System, or MAS, to track 23 critical and strategic commodities. With MAS, a variety of scenarios could be quickly evaluated for supply disruptions and varying political and economic conditions, which produced valuable information for policymakers. Although he did this while serving as the assistant director and later chief mining engineer for the U.S. Bureau of Mines in the 1970s, it could very well have been today. The significance of Sheldon's career cannot be overstated. His foresight and long-range perspective on protecting domestic mineral reserves is still relevant going forward. So it's either back to the future, or perhaps Sheldon Wimpfen was really an engineer of the future. Not surprisingly, Karen told me that she'd moved around a lot when she was growing up. Famous story. I think many of us here tonight can relate to that, either as parents or children in the mining industry. I had a blast talking with Karen, and she was ready for me. She had so many stories, and it was both full of laughs and tears that I finally had to say thank you and move on with my day. It was awesome. Let's take a look at Sheldon's contributions.
Over a 60-year career encompassing roles from miner to CEO, mining journal editor, bureaucrat, and consultant, Sheldon Wimpfen has experienced more in his lifetime than most people would in several lifetimes. He survived spear wounds in the mountains of Mindanao in the 30s, and armed attack in the South Pacific in the 40s, orchestrated the rush to find uranium when the Russians set off an atomic bomb in the 50s, and withstood political unrest in Peru during the 60s. During the 70s, he navigated the bureaucratic maze of the U.S. Bureau of Mines. In the 80s, he endured chili recipes of neophyte Virginia cooks, and continued on to provide valued consultation to governments and industry in the 1990s.
Sheldon had a very varied career in many aspects of the mining industry. What I think a lot of people don't realize about Sheldon is that a large part of that career was spent in various types of public service, working for the government at the Bureau of Mines. Certainly, he was in the military during the Second World War, and he certainly had a dedication to advocating for mineral resources to meet really the country's needs. He knew people everywhere. Part of that is because for several years he was an editor first of the AIME mining journal, and then the American Mining Congress journal. So he had a huge network of industry and academic connections. He was a real world traveler and had a tremendous expertise, and not only in mining and management, but he was an excellent mineral economist.
I am Karen Wimpfen Ambrose. Sheldon Wimpfen is my father. He grew up as a young Jewish boy and left home when he was about 14 or 15 and has been on his own ever since. I think that got some of the wanderlust in him. In later years, he traveled all over the world. And as he traveled all over the world, he always found someone he knew in an airport, a restaurant, a hotel, sometimes just in passing in a wave of a hand. And I'd think, well, I'm never going to see that person again. And then 40 years later, he'd say, well, remember when I introduced you to that person at such and such a hotel on such and such a date? When he was with the Atomic Energy Commission, we went often to Moab. I think that's when I really started to realize what a mining engineer was and how important it was to my dad.
I first met Wimpfen at a Colorado Society dinner meeting in Washington, D.C. in the early 1970s. Sensing mission failure, top AEC officials sought a review of their entire program. Wimpfen, who was then working on a program to obtain uranium from phosphate deposits in Florida, was asked to investigate the situation. He went to procurement offices to find out what was going wrong. President Truman called him in and advised that he would have the authority that he needed to make things happen. I reviewed the history of that program, examining hundreds of documents, including dozens of notes, memoranda, and letters to and from Sheldon Wimpfen. I also made a careful review of his autobiography, Tin Peaks and Silver Streams. This effort gave me a comprehensive appreciation of Wimpfen's contribution to the AEC uranium procurement program.
I became acquainted with Sheldon in the late 1960s, the early 1970s, while I was employed by the American Mining Congress. Sheldon was the chief mining engineer of the U.S. Bureau of Mines. The National Wilderness Act passed in the mid-1960s, and one of the provisions of this legislation provided for mineral surveys. Sheldon was responsible for organizing the way the Bureau of Mines approached the program, and also for interaction with the U.S. Geological Survey. This program was highly successful. Sheldon Wimpfen carried out his responsibilities, and the amazing thing about the program was that it came in under budget and on time. He was a very vocal advocate for the industry and why it was so important to the nation's well-being.
For his leadership of the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission's uranium procurement program, which created the domestic uranium industry to meet defense needs and the subsequent peaceful use of atomic energy, for his international mining expertise, leading to the development of the Global Minerals Availability System at the U.S. Bureau of Mines, for his strong commitment to sound government policies for multiple uses of federally managed public lands and access for mineral exploration and mining, and for his tireless advocacy for a strong domestic mining industry to secure the nation's need for critical and strategic minerals, we proudly induct Sheldon Wimpfen into the National Mining Hall of Fame.
Please welcome Karen Ambrose, who will be accepting on behalf of her father. Karen, please join me on the stage.
Thank you, Steve. Good evening. My name is Karen Wimpfen Ambrose. I don't think this is going to stay here. Maybe it will. I'm very proud to be here tonight and have the honor of seeing my dad inducting into the National Mining Hall of Fame, recognizing accomplishments made by him in the field of mining. I'm sure he would feel very honored to be here accepting for himself. I would like to thank Michael Koss, who I was sitting with this evening, who nominated my dad in 2015, and Stanley Dempsey, who I understand is here, but I haven't seen him, who nominated him this year, and I found out this evening that Paul Jones was the seconded the nomination, I believe. As a child growing up, I didn't know what a mining engineer was or what they did. But I certainly was proud to say that my dad was one, and I still am proud to say that. My dad had an all-encompassing life, traveling and working in Colorado, Texas, Arizona, Philippines, Bolivia, New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, California, Virginia, Peru, and Alaska. Also as a Marine in the South Pacific during World War II. Dad also traveled often to Mexico, Haiti, Jamaica, British Guiana, Liberia, and after he retired in 1980, to many other places in the world as a mining consultant. He took many trips just for pleasure, but I think one of his most memorable trips would be as a young man of 15 when he traveled across the United States with Lewis Pa Cope from the Rye, New York YMCA with 14 other young men. Each of them had to earn $100 to go on this excursion. And as we traveled as a family across the United States, I learned about that trip that he took, and it was very interesting. As a youngster moving from Minnesota to Buffalo, New York, traveling through the Great Lakes with his family, he saw the Michigan School of Mines, and on his trip with Pa Cope, he got his first glimpse of the Texas School of Mines and Metallurgy. After completing high school, he got a job on a small oil tanker in the Gulf of Mexico. After working as an ordinary seaman earning $47.50 a month, he informed his dad he was going to stick with that job, stick with the sea life, and work to become a mate or a captain. Well, I think his dad had other ideas. So on a fishing trip with his dad, they spoke at length about his future. And after this trip, Dad decided he'd go to college and made his way to El Paso, where he became a freshman in 1930. In the summer of 1978, thinking that my dad would be very proud of me, I told him I had applied for and been accepted into graduate school at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. His first remark was, "That's going to take about 4 gallons of gas." We lived in Boulder City, about 20 miles away. Wonder what he'd say today to our gas prices. But that was my dad. He bought cars by the pound. Given a dealer price, he would figure out how much the car would cost per pound and then figure out how many hours he would have to work to pay for it. And I remember him sitting at the kitchen table with his pencil and paper, figuring this out. After obtaining my graduate degree, I was able to take a 2-year geology class offered by the National Science Foundation. And I taught first grade, and I had a lot of education dealing with that with my first grade students. Dad told me I could have learned all the geology I wanted to know from him. Sure, I could have. He was absolutely right. But when I would ask him a question about mining, rocks, gold, or anything else dealing with mining, 30 minutes later, while he was still expounding his knowledge, I'd quit listening about 5 minutes in. My dad taught me many things as a child, but one thing he could never teach me was how to use that darn slide rule, and I don't know if you guys still use those or not. He always had that in his pocket, alongside a small Minolta camera, his pipe, and of course a flashlight, because perhaps this was too big to fit in his pocket. Thank you. I am very proud to be here at this moment, accepting this honor for my dad, Sheldon.
Wow, what an incredible group of honorees we've had tonight. Their contributions to industry will definitely stand the test of time. Oh, here we go. Let's give them all a round of violent applause. You're coming up.
All right, we're coming to the end. Thank you, everybody. It was really a special event. Thank you to Steve, our sponsors, and all of you that came, and please, as we go forward, carry on this message. We're going to make this a better place about mining. So thanks a lot. And Steve, appreciate you being the MC. You get a little present too. So. All right, good night. No, one more?
Yeah, we're not quite done yet. He's the president, but I know the format here. Okay, so now please give your attention to the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum's Executive Director, Elizabeth Dinchell. Come on up, Elizabeth.
I think I'm the shortest speaker tonight, so thank you. My name is Elizabeth Dinchell, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of the inductees who have made amazing contributions to the mining industry and mining education over the course of their lifetimes. The National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum opens its doors to approximately 25,000 visitors a year. Each visitor through our door is greeted with history, legacy, and the contributions of modern mining industry. We are working hard to educate the public on the never-ending contributions that mining makes to their lives, society, and building a sustainable future. We are planning on building modern exhibits, an interactive bilingual children's area, and building an education program. Donations of modern equipment, like a LiDAR that we received from MapTech this year, is helping to provide hands-on learning experiences for visitors and demonstrates the industry's dedication to safety. The museum is well positioned to grow, but we cannot do it without all of your support. The Avenir Foundation is generously matching your endowment donations dollar for dollar until 2024. We are looking for 2 more donors to be part of our Magnificent Seven, who will carry our efforts across the finish line. Charlie McNeil, stand up for me, Charlie. Where's Charlie? Charlie has been an amazing fundraiser for us, and he is ready to talk to anyone tonight who wants to be part of this exclusive group of donors. The endowment will ensure the indefinite sustainability of this institution. This year, we also hired a director of development. Her name is Jamie Wilms, and she lives in Denver. Moving on from this night, she is happy to talk to anybody who wants to find a way to support the museum financially or otherwise. I want to express my gratitude to the staff and volunteers of the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum who worked tirelessly to put this banquet together. It was not just me. There was so much work that was done. Stand up for me, Jordan Bennett, our curator. Thank you, Jordan. She did so much for us tonight, for all of us. Thank you, Jordan. Francine Weber was not here with us tonight, but she put together these videos that you saw, the run of show, and so much more. She's been texting us all day. Jan Gull, could you stand up for us too? Jan is hybrid volunteer worker. She put together all of your seating arrangements. A lot of you talked to her. Volunteer extraordinaire. Thank you, Jan. Bob Calder. Where's Bob? Bob, you got to stand up. Where's Bob? There's Bob. Bob's back there. Bob is wonderful. He works for us. He owned and ran the Hopemore mine and works out there. He tried to take me underground. I chickened out on the cage, and he told me I was a part of an elite club of few people who wouldn't go down. I looked down. I'm afraid of heights. It was bad. Former Executive Director Steve Whittington is here tonight. Stand up, Steve. Steve, of course, helped put this banquet on for years and ran the museum, but also is here volunteering with us tonight. Not here today, Teresa Frederick, our gift shop manager, put together all of the amazing retail stuff that you saw, parts of the silent auction, and she's a wonderful member of our team. Jamie Wilms, our Director of Development, who's not here today, and of course, all of our School of Mines students that came today. Thank you all for your help tonight. At each table is a QR code that takes you to our Give Lively page. You can make a one-time donation or monthly donations, and you can earmark your donation to go to our endowment or to our children's exhibit. You can also write a check or use your credit card at our mobile gift shop. We are well prepared tonight to take your money, so we will gladly take it off of your hands. But because of your support, seriously, we can continue educating the public about mining and inspiring young people to pursue careers in mining. I thank all of you for your continued support and your attendance to honor these amazing inductees, both past and present. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
I have learned to be brief, bright, and be gone. So I want to introduce Kim Morrison. Kim, can you please join us on the stage? Kim is a senior director for global tailings management for Newmont. It's becoming more important every day. And she's featured in the museum's new temporary exhibit on pioneering in the field, women in mining. Kim, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am very honored this evening to be able to host the Young Professionals After Party. It will be through those doors in the Lone Tree Room. We will have drinks, a little bit of music, some conversation, even a caricature artist. And when asked to do this, I told my husband about this, and he said, well, do they know that you're not young and that this is after your bedtime? Well, I guess everyone knows that now. So anyway, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing those in the Lone Tree Room shortly. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more round of applause, and that's for you as an audience. You're awesome. Thank you for coming tonight. Have a good evening. I'm looking forward to catching up with some of you afterwards. Thank you so much.